Find your spark and leave your mark. We have got the master of just that, author, entrepreneur, speaker, mentor, Elan Divon. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I find your story truly remarkable. Take us back to the moment that really changed your life.
Okay, so this was 21 years ago. I was a soldier in the Israeli army, and in Israel, when you're 18, 19, you finish high school, you go to the army. I was no exception, and I found myself in this combat intelligence unit, which was at the time placed in southern Lebanon, so we were in active combat. And I luckily didn't have any incident there, but I was home, and I had a date. So every 3-4 weeks, you go home, and I was very fortunate to be going on a date. I was so excited, because that's sort of what you look forward to when you're, a soldier in the front. And we're going to have lunch. And so, we meet and we're sitting down for lunch. And as I'm gesturing, the waiter's coming over, and my date turns to me and she says, I don't feel like having lunch. Can we have an ice cream instead? And so we walk down the road, literally 20, 30 yards down the road, turn left on one of the side streets, and we sit down and we're having ice cream. And the next thing you know, as we're flirting and having this great time, it's like a clap of thunder. And we're looking at each other, and before our mouths could find words, there's a second explosion. And now the soldier in me is kicking in, and I realize something really bad's going on. And so I reach out to Ayala, to my date, and as I do that, there's a third explosion. And it happens right around the corner from where we're sitting, literally 10, 15 yards away. And so we lock hands, and we're running in the opposite direction. And, mayhem, pandemonium, chaos, all the things you'd expect in an incident like this. And we managed to hide ourselves in a little alleyway, somewhere close by. And we wait for the ambulances and the bomb squads to descend upon the scene. And they get on, the megaphones, and they say that it's okay to come out after a few minutes. So we get out, and I drop Ayala at home. And it's a very silent car ride. We're just all shocked at what just happened. And I think she gets out, and I say, well, how's that for a first date? And I go home, and this is before the cell phone era, so we didn't know what happened. I just knew something really terrible happened. And I open the nightly news and get a sense of what just transpired. And it was a triple suicide bombing in downtown Jerusalem. 180 to 200 people were injured, many severely. 5 people were killed. 2 of those 5 at the very restaurant, very patio, very table where we sat before going for the ice cream.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for literally having that ice cream, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that definitely, like a mixture of emotions after an incident like that. I was grateful to be alive. I was sad for the people that obviously weren't as fortunate. I was angry, shocked, but the one thing I took with me is I said to myself, Elan, if you're alive, I want to believe that there's a purpose. I need to believe there's a purpose. I'm going to find that purpose. I'm going to live that purpose. And that's sort of my waking up story.
So what was your roadmap to finding that purpose?
So it was leaving everything that I knew. I left Israel, left my family, left my friends, went to study in England, and I thought I'd be a diplomat like my father, but I realized very quickly that wasn't the path for me. I was actually working in an embassy, studying political science, but I found I had this passion for spirituality. And this is before it really became a fad, in the late 90s. I mean, yoga meditation wasn't as big as it is today. So, what do you do with it? And so I just discovered that, and I said, okay, that's going to be a nice hobby, and I'll dabble in it here and there, but that's something I'll come back to after I retire and make some money and all that. And then I got a job in New York, because you got to work, and I had a great job in the corporate sector in Manhattan. And 2-3 months into it, I just felt this calling, this urge. I gotta obey and sort of respect and honor this sense of purpose that I want to fulfill. And so I left that, and I went to study. I studied archaeology, and comparative ancient civilizations. I then studied anthropology and comparative religion, and what I realized I was doing was mapping thousands of years of human experience and finding patterns to how people find their spark and leave their mark on the world. And so with that, my own sense of purpose was coming together, which is drawing upon all this ancient wisdom and packaging it into tools and strategies that people can use in a very practical way. And so that's, in a sense, what brings me here today.
I love that. Yeah. So we have to ask, what happened to the intuitive woman that you went on the first date with?
That, you know, I guess she, in a way, it's funny, she almost killed my, you know, because of the date, I almost lost my life, but she saved my life. And let's just say it didn't work out well afterwards.
Reasons and seasons.
But it was a reason she woke me up. I imagine this incident woke her up as well, and but that was it.
Yeah, no, it's just a
yeah.
So that's so amazing, wonderful, the path, and you know, of course, we talk a lot with all kinds of different people that have, you know, woke up and are doing extraordinary work, and we find a lot of commonalities in the work: habits, mindset, reprogram the subconscious mind. So for you, what does that look like?
So what I tell people, I work with people of different ages, and I say, imagine that when you were born, somebody downloads a playlist into your mind. But it's not a playlist of songs, right? It's a playlist of ideas and beliefs. And all your life, you're walking around looking at the world through the prism, but really the prison of those ideas and beliefs. And our job in life is to peel away those models, which are entrenched in us, to discover our own values, voice, purpose, potential, and bring that to the world. And it's kind of like you have to go through an initiation, and I believe that, you know, you've got to separate from people, places, powers, and ideas that in some way define you, because everything that defines you also confines you. And so that's my guiding philosophy.
Tweetable lessons here.
It
Sure.
reminds me of my favorite quote from the Tao Te Ching, which is the truth that can be told, or the Tao that can be told, is not the real truth. It's not the real Tao.
Yes.
And, so I wonder about that when you are helping people step into this place of deeper peace and power by realizing the ways in which their own thoughts and beliefs circumscribe their experience of the world. How do you help them get there? Is it meditation? Is it?
Well, it's meditation is part of it, but it's really action. And everyone today is focusing on passion. I focus on the pain. You gotta confront your fears. You gotta confront your pain. You got to do things that are uncomfortable for you, because that is where your promise lies. And I believe that I've sort of mapped this, and my next book called The Initiation is going to really tease this out. But the most successful, innovative, creative people on the planet have to separate or be initiated by separating from 3 foundational things in their life, sometimes 4. And they are your father, mother, family, your community, your tribe, your culture, your ethos, your comfort zone by tackling your fears, and sometimes your physical body, because separation from the physical leads to a realignment with the spiritual, where you realize that you're not your body, there's something much deeper. And so I can get into each one of them, but our parents, for example, you know, it's interesting, all the religious founders, looking at mythology, they all left the father, or they never knew their father. And that's because they have to find the father within. And so I talk to people about how, you know, if the seed is going to manifest its creative potential, it always has to separate from its source. Now, it's not a physical separation, but it's a psychological separation. And how you do that sometimes is somewhat of a physical separation. It was for me, but it's really about a psychological separation.
So interesting, because obviously we know tribally and things, to be initiated, you generally leave the tribe, you go out, and you're challenged in ways that really has, you know, them find that strength within, and that's really the true initiation. And
Yes.
it's so fascinating when you get into like the hero's journey and all these stories, and how it's always like, you know, overcoming the trials and tribulations, and it's like, I always question, like, do we really have to go through all this to
Yes,
do
I know.
anything? Like, I don't think there's a way around that. It's just kind of
no
the
way
human,
around it.
We're in this school called life, and this is what this university is up to, you know.
I think so. And you know, I'm really interested in how people change. And I say people don't change by seeing the light, people change by feeling the fire, feeling the heat. And that fire comes from 2 sources. Well, I mean, and just to elaborate on that, I mean, we all know what we need to do to change our lives and make it better. That doesn't make us do it. A lot of people want to, get a six-pack, stop smoking, land their dream job. They know what they need to do, they don't do it. And so you need a spark which lights a fire of committed, repeated action. And that spark comes from two sources, and two sources only in every human being, and that's passion and pain. Everybody looks at the passion. The pain is more important, because even when you find your passion, it's going to bring you pain. The pain of disappointment, of failure, of rejection. So pain is an important part of the human experience, which so many people, we all try to avoid, but we have to embrace it.
Go towards it.
There's a beautiful saying by Joseph Campbell, imagine that when your life is falling apart, you just fall, imagine you're falling, your life is falling apart, and everything's uncertain and there's chaos. So try to turn that free fall into a voluntary dive, where you're diving into uncertainty rather than just falling into it. And so it's a mindset shift, but it's still not easy. And the only way to do it is to do it.
So what does that look like for someone? Say someone has a fear, they want to take a quantum leap in their business. They want to, do something that's having them get out of their comfort zone. How would you work with somebody that's like, okay, I'm safe here, it's a little extreme. How do you have them take that going towards their pain? Is it just all in the mind?
A lot of it's in the mind, but I would say the first 3 steps are the most important. So, taking that first leap and not looking at the big picture, because I think sometimes we look at our visions and our dreams and they seem so untenable that it's daunting. So look at some, instead of looking at the prize, focus on, I say, put your intention on the prize, put your attention on the pixels, on the little sort of dots that lead you there. And so I get people to look at and map 3-4 goals that will get them to the first stage. And so it's really small things they can do every day to get them to where they want to be. And if they can,
We have goals, like when I'm working with people with goals, we have kind of the bigger picture, like there's 3 levels of goals. One is linear, like I want to pay my car payment again next month. Like that's not a great goal. It's like, that's not exciting. And then there's like goals that are like, I want to be a billionaire. You're like, you're not even making $100,000. Like that's not probably a great goal for you. Like, so where's the goal that is exciting, that kind of stirs you up? Like, oh, if I get this, like if I really reach this, I got to get a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's like not the extremes.
So you're saying how to get people to those goals that aren't extreme.
Well, just
yes,
reiterating what you're saying.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So I think you're absolutely right. It's getting people to really just, and this is the problem with goals, because we're all focused on what's next, and it takes us away from focusing on what's now. But the only way to get to what's next is to be here now and to focus on what's now. And so it's getting people to think about what are the things they need to do today, simple things. Success is like a compounded investment, when it comes to financing. And from growing up, they always say, put some money aside every month, put $100 aside, and by the time, 20, 30 years from now, you'll be a millionaire. And the same thing with our habits and with our actions. Every little incremental thing we do, if we do it consistently, will lead us to where we want to be. And so again, it's trying to keep people away from those bigger goals of being a billionaire and focus on, okay, what do you need to do this week, this month?
I love that. Such important work. And I would imagine that you have clients that are specifically drawn to you because of your story, what's your audience? Who's your audience?
So audience is varied. I work with a whole bunch of different people, but right now I just launched an academy about 6 months ago, which works with, specifically, this is more in groups, with high school students transitioning to college.
Oh, wow.
College students, preparing them for the real world, and also young professionals and businesses. So I'm working with a lot of different people who are kind of in transition.
Is that part of the Anson legacy?
No, that's a whole new thing. This is Divon Academy. This is a new academy I launched about 6 months ago. I actually left the Einstein Project to launch this.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And your name's very interesting. I mean, you have the Tree of Life, and then you have, Divine. So it's you have a very powerful name.
The Doctor of Divinity here.
Yes. So respecting your work for sure. I'm so excited for you and for everyone that's working with you. Powerful stuff for sure.
Thank you.
And where can people find you?
They can find me at www.elandivon.com, or the academy is www.divonacademy.com. I'm here in LA a lot. I'm sort of becoming more bi-coastal, so I'm in LA, Toronto, New York,
And people can work with you virtually, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Love it.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Stay tuned. We'll be back
Thank you.
with more on Good Morning La La Land.